Welcome back to another video on the scriptures, and my name is Father Peter Grover, and I'm kind of a Bible guy that is very enthusiastic about the scriptures, and I'm excited to share with you another text from next Sunday. The next Sunday is a special Sunday because we're celebrating Christ the King. So all the readings are going to be directed toward leadership and kingly leadership specifically. The reading I chose is from Samuel. And there's some very exciting things going on in the reading, but a lot of it's hidden. So I'm going to have to walk you through the reading so you can really appreciate what's really going on in the text. So let's take a look at this reading from 2 Samuel. So it says, "In those days, all the tribes of Israel came to David. This is, and they anointed him king of Israel." Of course, now that doesn't sound very exciting because we already know that David is a king, that God had chose him. But here's the problem. David was already anointed a king in Judah 7 years before. So what happened? What took so long? Why did it take the tribes of Israel 7 years to decide to have David as their king? Well, they wanted to carry on the legacy of Saul, which was the king before King David. They wanted to carry on his legacy and continue with him. So they discarded David. Well, this led to problems, and so this ended up as a 7-year war. Now, a 7-year war, it's very difficult to understand how, if you're at war with a particular guy, why all of a sudden now you're going to make him a king. And this is the hidden treasure that's really in this reading, is that David won them over. David won all the tribes of Israel, and this is how he did it. David did something quite unique that really impressed the northern kingdom. He mourned the loss of the northern kingdom's heroes. For instance, you had Abner, which is the commander of the army. He died. And David mourned him. He went on he fasted and prayed. Saul was a hero. There were other people in the north, and people were kind of amazed at this. And so, what kind of person does that? What kind of person loves your enemies and prays for your persecutors? A humble person does. It's a humble person. That's what he won them over by his humility. Let me give you an example of this. What I mean, how this draws people. You go to work, and there's always going to be 3 types of people when you go to work. It's going to be your bossy people. Now, the bossy people always know more than you do, and they're going to tell you what to do because they're smarter. Then you have another group of people, which are the whiners. I call them whiners because they're never happy. They don't get enough pay. They don't like the way the organization is going forward. They don't like the people in it. They don't like the bosses, so they're always whining and complaining. Now, the third group of people are your happy people. They're just happy to have a job. They're happy to be there. And these are the people that will do anything to help you out. They're not going to step over you. They're not going to try to take advantages of you. They just want to be helpful, and they want their lives to benefit you. And so, of the 3, which one do you think you're going to be drawn to if you go to work in the morning? Of course, it's going to be the humble person. That's David. David was that kind of person that he just drew you, because he just drew you in because he had this great humility about him. Now, here's a problem. Kings are not normally humble people. They're authoritative. Usually they're the bosses. They determine, they're judging, and they determine rules and regulations and laws. Humility is not their task. So you got to ask the question: if you have an occupation, what skills do you need to be successful? And that's a question. Like, for instance, take athletes. Athletes, they need to be a little bit on the side of envy. They want that medal. They want that gold. They want that trophy. They want that championship. They want that parade. And so they use that to be determined and to march them forward to success. I'll look at politicians. Politicians need the skill of being the art of persuasion, to persuade people that they're better than the other guy. So the question now is, what occupation uses humility to be successful? Certainly not politicians, certainly not athletes, certainly it's servants, it's slaves. These are the people that thrive on humility, because servants, to be a good servant, you need to listen to instruction and then to follow the instruction and carry it out. And so the skill of humility really helps them to be successful in that particular task. Now, what King David did was he dedicated his kingship to being a servant of God. that's why he was successful. And that's why humility was his number one road to success, is because he wanted to dedicate his kingship to being a servant of God. And that we can follow David in all his success. And when we get to the New Testament, of course, the greatest king of all it was Jesus. And that's exactly how he redefined the king. He became a humble servant, obeying and listening to God's voice and hearing God and obeying. This is why Jesus was so successful when he mounted the cross. This is why Jesus was successful when he was led to the slaughter. This is why Jesus was successful at drawing so many people and so many crowds and being able to, and people benefited from him. So what we're looking at now is our own occupation. If we consider our occupation, our most important job in life is to be a servant of God, then humility is going to be that virtue that's going to help us to be really successful. So that's the beauty of these readings. This reading today from Samuel underlines, that underscores the fact that for David to be successful, for David to unite these 12 tribes that were at war with each other was almost an impossible task, but he did it through humility. So we can learn from that, and so we can see that our occupation, our really great work is to be a servant of God and to be successful by humility. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you got something out of it. I'm always excited to share with you insights from the scriptures from my years of study. So I hope that you subscribe and that I'll see you in the next video.